Launch command issued for ignition.
The launch command has been issued.
Second umbilical tower separates. Engine 10 pumps at flight speed.
Booster ignition now at full throttle and liftoff. Minin, Dubrov, and Kikina now on their way to the International Space Station as part of a 2-orbit journey.
All the system parameters are nominal.
We have good roll, pitch, and yaw as we head downrange.
Engines of the first and second stage are functioning nominally.
We have confirmation that the first and second stage engines have good performance. We have good structural parameter performance, and the Soyuz is delivering 930,000 pounds of thrust from its 4 boosters and single engine. The first stage of the Soyuz measures 68 feet in length and 24 feet in diameter, burning liquid fuel for the first 2 minutes and 6 seconds of flight. We're now a minute into today's flight. Everything continuing to proceed as planned, and the velocity is currently 1,100 miles per hour.
70. The flight is nominal. 70. Flight nominal.
We're now a minute and 20 seconds into today's flight of the Soyuz MS-29 spacecraft on top that Soyuz 2.1A booster. We still have good first stage performance.
90. First and second stage engines stable.
17 hours, 47 minutes, 43 seconds.
The pressure is 1511, 1429, copy.
We're now 1 minute and 54 seconds into today's flight, so the escape tower has been jettisoned. And momentarily, the 4 strap-on boosters have been jettisoned, and these have completed their job and have dropped away at an altitude of 28 statute miles. The Soyuz is now traveling at about 3,350 miles an hour, and there you can see on your screen as those 4 strap-on boosters were jettisoned. Again, everything continuing to proceed as planned. We are receiving good reports of the structural performance of the Soyuz as it continues its ride uphill. We are now just over 2.5 minutes into today's launch of the Soyuz MS-29 spacecraft, and that launch shroud has now been jettisoned, and the rocket's altitude is now about 48 miles high. And we're now seeing an external rocket camera view that the crew will switch in to replace the in-cabin view at that time of fairing separation. We're now 3 minutes into today's launch of the Soyuz spacecraft. Everything continuing to proceed as planned and receiving good reports from the blockhouse in Baikonur. The Soyuz is now traveling at a speed of about 4,700 miles per hour. The Soyuz core stage is performing as expected, and the core stage of the Soyuz is 56 feet in length, 13.5 feet in diameter, with a single engine with 4 fuel chambers providing between 178,000 and 220,000 pounds of thrust for its 3 minute and 28 seconds of operation.
210 seconds. Control system parameters nominal. Copy. On board.
We're about 3 minutes and 45 seconds into today's flight of the Soyuz as it continues its flight uphill. It is about an 8 minute and 50 second total ride to orbit before we have that 3rd stage separation, and the Soyuz spacecraft will be on its way to chase the International Space Station.
Copy. The crew are feeling fine.
240.
The core stage, once it was ignited, continues to burn until the 4 minute 43 second mark, which is coming up in about 30 seconds from now. And the Soyuz uses what's called a hot stage technique, and the 3rd stage will then ignite while the 2nd is still burning. And this is why the Soyuz has an open area in between the 2nd and 3rd stages. We are continuing to receive good reports of the Soyuz performance as it continues its journey uphill. We're now about 4 minutes and 50 seconds into today's flight. So the third stage did begin igniting at that 4-minute 45-second mark, which means the second stage is now shutting down. And we do have confirmation of second stage separation.
Copy separation of second stage. The growth
And that separation taking place at an altitude of 105 miles. So the Soyuz is now being propelled by the single engine of the Soyuz third stage, and this engine is providing 67,000 pounds of thrust and will burn for a total of 4 minutes and 2 seconds. We're now about 5.5 minutes into today's launch of the Soyuz spacecraft. We're about 3 minutes away from that third stage separation, at which point the Soyuz spacecraft and its crew will officially be on their way to the International Space Station. Again, that third stage shutdown taking place about 8 minutes and 46 seconds into today's launch, about 3 minutes from now, shortly followed by that third stage separation.
360 seconds. Pitch your roll nominal. Copy. On board, everything is fine.
We're now just over 6 minutes and 20 seconds into today's launch of the Soyuz 2.1A booster, which was carrying the Soyuz MS-29 spacecraft to orbit as it begins its journey to the International Space Station. We are continuing to receive good reports of good pitch and yaw of the spacecraft as it continues its journey uphill. And about a minute from now,
400.
the velocity of the spacecraft will reach about 13,500 miles an hour. Again, all of those performance callouts that you're hearing, those are being reported by the engineers at the blockhouse in Baikonur. After orbital insertion, the command will officially be transitioned to the Russian Mission Control Center in Koryov, right outside of Moscow.
Copy. Com has gotten worse. I don't hear you well enough. I copy.
We are now 7.5 minutes in following the liftoff of the Soyuz 2.1A booster. Again, that liftoff taking place at 9:47 a.m. Central Time, 10:47 a.m. Eastern Time. The performance of the vehicle continuing to proceed as expected, and we are now under a minute away from that third stage shutdown, quickly followed by third stage separation.
Copy, everything is fine on board. We are feeling great. Still, com is not ideal. I don't hear you well enough.
Once the third stage delivers the Soyuz to orbit and the module is separated, a series of pre-programmed commands will be executed to prepare the Soyuz for orbital operations.
Everything is fine.
These stored commands, called time-tagged commands, allow many of the Soyuz's systems to be automatically activated by onboard computers at precise times stored in those computers.
500. The flight is going well. Copy. On board,
We are
fine.
about 15 seconds away from that third stage cutoff and separation. Right now, about 8 minutes and 40 seconds into today's flight.
Get ready for separation.
And we have confirmation of preliminary separation of that third stage.
5:30.
And there you could see it falling away on the upper portion of your screen. So again, that third stage cutoff and separation taking place about 8 minutes and 50 seconds into today's flight. And we have confirmation that the Soyuz MS-29 spacecraft has been officially inserted into orbit. So the Soyuz capsule and its crew are now safely in orbit, and the spacecraft is automatically executing its pre-programmed commands, which then deployed those solar arrays, which you can see there on your screen. Those pre-programmed controls also, of course, deploy the antennas. So now that the Soyuz spacecraft and its crew are safely in orbit, control of the spacecraft from here on out will be overseen from the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow in Koryov.
And you're welcome to select KSP to the left formats.
And we have confirmation that all of the solar arrays and antennas have been successfully deployed following that orbital insertion.
Monitoring.
Again, this comes following a liftoff of the Soyuz 2.1A booster, which